Since I've had quite a few requests from people back home to make a video online for them, I am here to make a yoga class for you, specifically my mother. Hi, Mom. Take control of any of these movements. Take the options of the variations that work best for you and enjoy. Okay, so we are going to start in Tadasana or mountain pose. So grounding through the feet, you're going to want to lift the toes and anchor them back down, feeling even weight through the toes, ball of the foot down to the heel. Roll the shoulders up and back, giving that proud chest. Lengthen through the crown of the head, finding nice tall posture, palms face forward, and spread the fingertips nice and wide to activate the pose all the way down through the hands and fingers. If you stand here long enough, you will feel this pose, even though it's essentially standing here. Be mindful of your breath, taking in deep inhales and exhaling fully. Go ahead and bring the arms up overhead, palms turn to face each other. Pull the biceps back towards the ears. Relax the shoulders. Again, reach through the fingertips. We're going to drop the hands out into this T, and as we do, give a soft bend in the knee and bring the chest forward. A few options: you can bring the hands to the top of your thighs. You can have a piece of furniture in front of you and bring the hands to rest there. But you're going to want to release enough so that you're giving enough bend in the knee to bring the top of the belly towards the top of the thighs. And then relax the head, letting gravity take the crown of the head down towards the floor to lengthen the spine. And from there you can lift the hips up towards the ceiling to lengthen the back of the legs. So in this forward fold, you're getting a stretch from the heel, up the ankle, calves, knees, hamstrings, glutes, hips, and then this lengthening through the spine to decompress and lengthen each vertebrae, the space between. Again, if you are in the other option, it may look more like this or this. Just try to relax the upper body and head down to help pull you into the stretch. And while you're here, you can sway, hold on to opposite elbows. This is ragdoll. You can keep the hands as anchor points for support. Take a half lift. So pulling the crown of the head long, lengthening the spine back out straight. And release once more. Go ahead and roll back to standing. Let's roll the shoulder joints out and also get some twist going through the spine. I'm going to bring both arms up overhead, shift to your left, and drop the hands. As soon as they reach the bottom, we will bring them back up and rotate to the right, dropping them once we find that full rotation, and back center, through the center to the left. My favorite thing about trying new yoga classes is finding one or two stretches or movements in that class that I really liked and can remember to take home with me for, personal practice. So keep that in mind. If you like any of these, maybe instead of, if you don't have time for a full class, you can just do that one movement or stretch. So with arms back overhead, we'll bring the palms together and drop the fingertips back down towards the floor behind you. Lift your gaze if you're wanting a little more. That pressure will lengthen the arms and down through the armpit and shoulders. Lift back center. We're going to find some balance here by putting all the weight into the right foot, lifting that left one, either coming into a hover, toe can come to the mat for some stability. It's helpful if you can find a place on the floor in front of you a few feet to fix your gaze. If you can find a focal point, it will help with balance. From there, begin to lift. If you're wobbly, that's okay. Again, using the toe as an anchor if you need to find some balance. Go ahead and draw the knee up as high as you can though. Taking note of the muscles it takes to draw that leg up, the muscles and ligaments through that hip flexor. Give them a squeeze. Open the leg out to the side. Again, working the balance here. Grip through the floor with your toes. Find that grip by pulling the arch of the foot up and dropping around. We'll do 2 hip circles and release. Go ahead and roll that ankle out of that standing leg a few times in each direction. Loosen up any tension that was built up, holding you there. Settle back in, ground through the left foot, finding that focal point and working on your balance and stability. Begin to draw that opposite knee up. Open the hip to the side. And bringing the knee down and around. Go ahead and make 2 hip circles. And ground back down. Roll that left ankle out. Ground back on the mat. We'll bring the arms out forward as we lift the left leg up and step it back. You're going to want that foot at a 45-degree angle pointing forward. If you have a mat, it's going to be pointing up towards that left corner. Front toes are forward and bend into the knee. Warrior 1. Relax the shoulders back down. Keep the hands active. And you can play around with reaching forward, keeping the body center. We want the hips to be stacked in a nice line parallel with the top of the mat. So pull that right hip back and sink into the knee. Building the heat through the legs here. Go ahead and open into warrior one. So you're going to pivot the back foot so that it is now parallel with the back of your mat at a 90-degree angle with the leg. Arms come out nice and wide. Again, bend into that front knee so it's stacked over the heel. Hips are now open. Reaching forward, reaching back. Go ahead and bring your hand to thigh or bring elbow. Another option would come to ankle or floor. Go ahead and raise that top arm up towards the ceiling. Using that arm to pull you back. Go ahead and place your left hand as the right comes up and over, finding a side body stretch. Coming back center, we're going to rotate that back heel so that both toes are pointed forward, feet are in line with hips. You can always adjust as needed. Take a look at your stance. Make sure you are aligned correctly. Arms are going to come up, bend into that front knee, and as we reach forward, lengthen out here. Let the hands come down to the mat or floor. That's why yoga blocks are always a good option. If you don't have the flexibility, you can always use these to help anchor you and will help you relax and release in the poses while still getting the stretch and finding that deeper range of motion. If you don't have a yoga block, any household item that's similar in shape would probably do, or as long as you're not pushing too much weight to lock the knee out, you want to keep a soft bend in the knee. You could bring hands to the top of the thigh, maybe the shin. Wherever you're at, go ahead and release the upper body to help pull you into that stretch. This is pyramid pose. Let's go ahead and bend into the front knee, taking any tension out, soft bend that back knee as well as we step the feet together and roll back up. Probably should have put my hair in a ponytail, but it's at that weird length that I don't really like it up currently. Let's bring the arms back up overhead. This time we are going to bring the right leg up and step it back into our warrior one. Stacking the knee over top of the ankle. Take a look, make sure that back foot is pointed up at a 45-degree angle. Arms come back overhead. Lean forward over that thigh. Come back center. Take a pause here in your warrior. Build some heat through that quad and your back glute. Then we'll pivot around, opening into our warrior two. Open the hips to the side. Play around with finding that reach. come back center. We're going to drop into that side warrior. And rotating around, reverse it. Go ahead, come back center. Bring both arms forward as we pivot that back heel, turning the toes forward. And lengthen that front leg as we relax over top of that shin. Go ahead and bend into the knees, step together, and come back into a forward fold. And roll back up. We're going to come center of the mat, drop down into a tabletop. You can always use a blanket underneath the knees if you have any knee pain. Play around with the toes tucked or the top of the feet flat and see whatever feels best. I tend to keep my toes tucked. And we will come into cat-cow. So as you inhale, you drop the belly and roll the hips up towards the ceiling. Bring the gaze nice and high. Sink the chest down low. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. And as we come into cat, go ahead and in the opposite direction, we're going to pull the belly in tight, tucking the chin and tail. And here's where we exhale. On your next inhale, go ahead and find that rotation in the opposite way. And just following your own breath, go ahead and find this cat-cow. As you're in cat, rounding the back, push the floor away through the palms. Help find that deeper stretch through the shoulders and back. I like to play around with letting my shoulders come together in the back as I'm in cow, sinking the chest and pushing back through the palms, working the shoulders a little bit. And come back neutral. Here's where I would suggest untucking that toe if it's not already. As we lift the left fingertips forward, the right will reach back. You can bring hand or toe out and meet the floor as needed. You can lift one or both. Squeeze the glute to bring that foot up higher. Doesn't need to be so high that it's throwing you off center and you want to keep the hips aligned. Another thing I'm not sure if I had mentioned, let's come back down into tabletop. We want to stack the shoulders over wrists and hips over knees. This time let's do the opposite balance, lifting the opposite hand and leg. Go ahead and release, coming back center in this neutral position. Let's keep the hips nice and high as we walk the hands down and lower the chest to the floor. This is puppy's pose. Go ahead and lift back up, coming back into tabletop. We'll do some hip circles, dropping the hips to the side, lowering them down, and bring them back up. There's a seam right on my knee that does not feel good. So I'm going to actually tuck my toes here then, and that lifts the knee a little bit off the mat, so I'm not having that problem. Coming center, we'll send it in the opposite direction. And pause back at that neutral stance. Rotating the pinky around and in towards the center line. Go ahead and find a stretch through the wrist and front side of the forearm. You can send the hips back a little bit to deepen that if needed. Go ahead and rotate back center, finding that rotation through the opposite arm. Go ahead and slowly rotate back center. We'll now place the top of the hand to the floor. And from here, in this tabletop, it sets you up pretty nicely for your down dog. So tuck the toes and lift the hips up and send them back. Weight settles into the heels. Widen the fingertips to help distribute the weight through the hands. Lift the heels up nice and high, and again, try and settle them back down towards the mat. Head hangs right between the biceps, so your gaze is somewhere around the shins. You're going to drop to the knees. Hands will walk forward a bit so that we can lower the hips down. Elbows stay tucked in towards the body, and bring yourself down to the ground here. Tops of the feet are on the floor, elbows in at the ribs, hands right underneath the shoulders. Squeeze the glutes to give a little tuck to the tail to lengthen the lower back. So as we push the floor away, coming into cobra, we have space in the lower back. If you have any lower back pain, of course, come out of that. Gaze can come up nice and high. And release the chest back down to the floor. We're going to push ourselves up into child's pose. So bringing the toes together, knees can come wide. Settle the chest down towards the floor. And go ahead, bring yourself up into a seated position. lengthen one leg, lifting the right up and over to find a spinal twist. Rotate in towards that thigh. You can hug or hold on to that knee or thigh. Tuck the elbow and find that full rotation by reaching behind and sending the gaze behind your shoulder. Go ahead and come back center, moving nice and slow through really any yoga pose, but especially in these deep twists. Go ahead and rotate back. I'll face you here. We're gonna bring our arms into cactus arms. So elbows bend at a 90, left arm comes forward, right goes under. Go ahead and bring the back of the hands together, or if you can find that bind here, bringing palms together. See deep stretch through the upper back and shoulders. I like to bring my elbows up and drop them down, finding where along that line I feel the best stretch. Go ahead and settle there. Now bring your gaze from one shoulder over to the other. And back center will release. Go ahead and relax the shoulders by rolling them out. Come back into those cactus arms. This time the left goes forward. Do the opposite side. I'm sorry, I messed that up. Can't remember what I did originally. I think this is right. Go ahead and draw the elbows up and relax them down. Again, send the gaze from one shoulder to the other. Back center and release. Bring the legs out. Actually, we're gonna go ahead and lay on down. Rolling down to the floor. We'll bring both legs up towards the ceiling. This helps gravity bring the blood that's in our legs back down to the heart. So it helps with some moving the blood circulation through the body. Go ahead and bring that right ankle below the knee. And from here, thread the hands through. You can keep that leg extended, even grabbing onto that calf or ankle to pull it in, or you can lower that leg and grab onto the shin. We just want to come into this figure four position, pushing that knee nice and open and drawing the shin in towards the chest. Go ahead and release that side. Make your figure four on the opposite, pushing that knee away and drawing in the shin. chest. Grab onto the inner or outer. You can adjust as needed. And open the legs nice and wide, coming into happy baby. You'll apply pressure to the top of the feet to draw the knees down towards the floor. See if you can extend the legs straight. Both feet come together and lower them down to the mat. Here's where Shavasana would happen, taking 5, 10, 15 minutes just lying here, maybe yawning or falling asleep. But for this, unless you want to do that on your own time, we will skip that. Or I will. Bringing the palms together and to heart center. Thank you for joining my class today. I love you all very much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste.